Welcome to Nairobi Gallery. My name is Brian Ochek and I'll be your guide today. I'll start by narrating to you the history of the building, then later history of Joseph Murumbi. So Nairobi Gallery, it was designed by a government architect called Sirant Overy, and it was built in 1913 to house the Ministry of Native Affairs. It was later nicknamed Hatches, Matches and Dispatches, simply because the number of births, number of marriages, and number of deaths were recorded from this place. Then, before independence, it also acted as a colonial court where those people found loitering in Nairobi without kipande were brought in, tried and sentenced here. Later, after independence, it acted as the first PC's office, who was later relocated to Nyayo House in 1983. Then KANU, which was the ruling party by then, used the building as its Nairobi branch KANU office and later relocated to KICC. Then after the government realized the importance of the building was gazetted in 1993 and proclaimed as a national monument in 1995. Then in 1997, the ornament of the building was transferred to the National Museums of Kenya. And in 1999, the renovation of the building started. And in 2005, the building was opened for the first time to the public. And the exhibition that was displayed in 2005 was from a pioneer artist from Uganda called Jack Katarikawe. Then later in 2013, Murumbi's private collection were brought in for exhibition. The building also marks Kenya's point zero, the point I am now. This is where the distances to all parts of Kenya were measured from. And the building also has two mysterious safes which has never been opened since independence. So this is called a jewelry room. This is where we display jewelries and other ornaments that were collected by Murumbi and Sheila during their time. And some of them were also manufactured at African Heritage by Alan Donovan, an American designer who settled in Kenya. So from here, we have the rings, the two casted brass rings from Cameroon. They were worn by men only among the Lobi community. Then we have the pendant bead with the drama atop it. It symbolizes a spider web, simply because the Antica people believe that spider was a good messenger between God and man. Then here we have the Dagon spoon from Mali. It was used for measuring gold during the gold trade. At the top, we have the pendant lamp from Ivory Coast. Then here we have a royal necklace. It was worn in Ashanti, Ghana and Ivory Coast. Then we have the two pendant soul bearers. The one with the twin figures at the top, it depicts departed ancestors and it was worn to obtain forgiveness and protection. Then the one with the single figure, it was less common and most of the time it was used to symbolize a certain spirit. Then here we have an old pendant box which came through the dough trade, and it depicts the first locomotive and the first steamship to be invented. Here we have the Dagon couples called Nomo in Mali. So they believe that these were the first couples to be created. Then we have the Dagon postmen. These were used as a symbol of peace. They were used to restore peace in communities where there is struggles or fighting. Then social status was the most valued thing by most of the African communities. Therefore, these hammered gold earrings were worn by Fulani women in Mali to display or to showcase the wealth of their fathers and that of their husbands. And those from poor background who could not afford gold used to wear these ones made of beeswax decorated with gold strings. Then this is the kipande holder. So
the first one.
Yeah, the first kipande holder. So it was worn by African males who have attained 15 years. It was a compulsory travel document, and this was the thing that if you are found within Nairobi without it, you are brought in here. Yeah, you are jailed. So the box, it was used for to hold maybe your travel documents, the receipt that shows that you have paid your taxes, and also the details of your employer, and also your boundaries, the locations you have to access and the places where you can't access. Then these are the earplugs and the matching bracelet. The earplugs were worn by the young community. Men or the women most of the time, but it's not. Then here we have these are the perfume bottles. Here we have also a earplug, which was also used for holding important things such as drinks. Then the baskets, this one was carved with kissing, and at the tip has been decorated with a gold skin for durability purpose, and that one is another great basket. Then here, these are the silvers related to religion, and it is believed that in Africa, Christianity faith began in Ethiopia, and that's why most of the things from Ethiopia have a cross symbol. So these were the crosses that were carried by Ethiopian priests, and the ones that looked like spoons were used as weapons to remove the tax. Then the bracelets were created from Dinka Sudan, and this is just a Tuareg area. This is just a lock in a key, and it has been made of 3 different metals. So we have brass there, we have copper, and also iron. Then here, so in that movie, the kingdom of Nigeria, so the priestess of the women, medicine women, they were adorned by silver ornaments. Some of them had this one, and they were worn it on the neck or on the upper arm. So this one depicts the first locomotive and the first Bible. Then this is a bat mask. It was awarded to commoners by kings on a penalty of death. Let's say you have committed a certain crime in a duty. Therefore, your punishment, the king has decided that you will be killed. So this one was awarded to a commoner on a penalty of death. Then this is an Oba king ring. It was worn by a king of Oba. Then the bracelets were worn on the upper arm by the other ones were collected from Somalia. Then these were made by Alan Donovan. Alan Donovan was an American designer who traveled to Africa by bus. He bought a bus and used it to travel up to Kenya. And he settled in Kenya. He opened an exhibition in Turkana in 1970, and there is where he met Alan Donovan, who became his friend, and together they were made to open the African heritage. So the necklaces were made at African heritage. So the activities that normally take place in corners of Kenya were the ones that were taking place at African heritage. The showcasing of African culture, the fashion show. So these ones were made for that purpose. Then here we have the gold. They were collected from various countries. So I'll start right here. This is a breastplate made of gold. It was worn by both men and women in Ashanti Kingdom, Ghana. Then these were Sheila's personal collection. Then the frog, he was awarded in Egypt. The frog is made of wax and gold. Then here we have as American dollar coin. It was used as a nose ring. Then Iriama earplug there. We have a bracelet made of gold from Yoruba, Nigeria. We have this one from Senegal, the comb and the necklace from Ethiopia, then this one from Lamu, Kenya. Then the surutia from Maasai. In Maasai community, it was used to show fertility in women, but in Nandi and Samburu, it was also given to the male children while going to circumcision. Then later, they will return them to their mothers after circumcision. Then this one here, it was awarded to Pokot ladies who are candidates of circumcision, those girls who are going to be circumcised. Later, when they are healed, they were awarded these ones by their fathers. That shows that now they are fertile and ready to be married. Then here we have a beadwork from Kamba community. It is believed that Kamba community were the first people to practice beadwork before it spread to other communities. That's why they are very talented and they can come up with anything using beads. This is African artifact room. These are some of the artifacts that were used by Africans in the olden days. So here we have the African spoons. Not all of them were used for cooking. Like this one, it was used in Zulu, South Africa, and it was hanged on the kitchen door to symbolize that women belong to the kitchen. Then this one, it was used by Turkana women to serve elders, simply because in Turkana community, women were not allowed to touch the cups of the elders. The smaller ones, they were used in Somalia to measure gold during the gold trade. Then this one is used for stirring things or mixing. Then other ones were also collected from Turkana, and this one from Liberia. Then here we have a tree of life or Ijama from Tanzania. So this one, it was like a symbol of unity. It encouraged the citizens to merge their powers and work together, searching for a positive outcome. Then the comb was used for decoration purpose, also made of ebony tree from Tanzania. Here we have a wooden camp stool from Yoruba, Nigeria. So during the olden days, women were not allowed to sit either on a stool or a chair. Then this was the first stool that women were allowed to sit on. It has 4 figures, the 2 men, 2 women. The figures symbolizes that what a man can do, a woman can do it also. That's why women were allowed to sit on it. Then this is just a town piano that was collected by Sheila from Tanzania. We have wooden cupboards. The bigger one was collected from Cameroon and the other one from Fulani. Here we have African calabash, and here we normally talk about a man called Peter Nzuki, who is believed to be the first man to develop art on calabash. This is a Kamba calabash. The rings around it depicts Mount Kilimanjaro, as Kambas believe that their ancestral home was Mount Kilimanjaro. These ones were made by James Ongele, an artist from Kenya, and this one was collected from Congo. The design is called Kuba design. This one from Yoruba, Nigeria, and these ones were made using calabash at African Heritage Workshop. Mats were used for covering calabash. Then here we have the desert containers. Here, most of them were used for holding the food or drink. So here, I will just explain the most unique ones. Like this one, it is called a katom. It is made of camel stone. So in Turkana community, after slaughtering a camel, they will cut out the stomach and shape it on a hot sand to obtain this shape. Then later, the women will use it in the kitchen for holding cooking pot. Here we have a beaded calabash from Kamba community that was used for holding beer for paying dowry bills. This one is a collected palm fiber from Somalia. It was used for holding the Kamba warriors. At the middle we have the Imbechi from Yoruba, Nigeria. So it is believed that Yoruba women were the most fertile women on the earth. And most of the time they give birth to twins. That's why they were to come up with the Imbechi. Imbechi was just like an idol for protection, simply because they believed that raising twins was a difficult task. Therefore, this was just to make it easier for raising of the twins. And in case one of the child dies, the woman was to feed one of the dolls, and it was to make her feel like the departed child is still with her. This one, it is called an ikidet from Turkana. When it is singled this way, it was worn by women to show fertility in women. When you combine it with this one, to be complete the way it is, that was to symbolize that a woman is married. And we have the Samburu warriors there. Also Samburu warriors. This is Yobe from Mozambique, and the Karamojong warriors from Uganda. Botswana baskets. Then here we have the stools and the headrest. So the headrest, these are the things that depicts now the modern pillows. They were used by Africans to rest, to make their heads comfortable. So maybe when you are in the field grazing and you need to rest, they used these ones to lay their heads. And simply because these ones were made of wood, they used to put on the headdresses to make it more comfortable. So the headdresses, they were made of ancestral human hair and clay, and the other one was made using the Persian quills. And this one, this marked a rite of passage in Maasai community. So in Maasai community, for you to graduate from childhood to adulthood, or for you to be crowned as a Maasai warrior, you are to go in a field, hunt a lion and kill it. Then put on a headdress made of lion's skin. Therefore, title warrior. Then the wrap, it was used as a form of punishment to Maasai warriors who have killed another man in a battle. So it was worn on the upper arm. So nowadays, simply because poaching is not allowed in Kenya, they have replaced their practice using these ones made of an animal skin decorated with ostrich feathers. This is Joseph Murumbi. He was a Maasai, therefore he also undergo that practice. This is Adam Donovan, the American designer who was left in charge of Murumbi's collection after Murumbi died. They were made by Maasai girls, and they made them in large quantity, then hide them, and later bring them out during certain competition, and the one who will have make a note of them, and the most attractive ones will emerge the winner and will be rewarded. Here we have the Kamba weavers carved of wood. They were used for holding hand arrows, and at the tip they used to put poison so that to make the arrows more poisonous. Then here we have the spears from Turkana, Maasai, the Inca, and the Karamojong. The shield from Turkana, it was made using a buffalo hide, and it was used while fighting, maybe one person or two. Then the bigger one from Maasai community, also made of buffalo hide, it was used while fighting a large group of people. Then it also marked the age grade of warriors. Then in this room, this is our exhibition room. Here, we normally host temporary exhibitions, which normally last for 3 months. So this is the current exhibition that is going on, the Pio Gama Pinto's exhibition. Pio Gama Pinto, he was a politician, he was also a firefighter, a journalist, and a socialist. He played a very important role towards Kenya's independence. These were among the people who enabled allows us to be free now. The freedom we are enjoying now were fought by these people. So Pio Gama Pinto, he was also a political mentor to Joseph Murumbi. He is the one who introduced Joseph Murumbi to politics. He was born in March and was assassinated in early February 25th. So he was a socialist, and the main reason he was assassinated is most of the time he used to oppose bad things or negative things that were done by the government. That's why he was assassinated. So the setup below depicts Murumbi's Muthaiga home. So this is how he used to arrange his house. So as you can see the pictures, this is his Muthaiga home, and after he died, some of his collections we managed to bring here and set up the way he used to set his house. Others are found at National Archives of Kenya. Others are found at African Heritage House. So the things here were also collected from various countries. Like the two cupboards were collected from Zanzibar, a pair of cranes from India, the tables also from India, a photo album, a design from DRC Congo. Then we have a petrified wood table there, the brass pot from Madagascar. The images inside the sculptures made of Kisii soapstone from Kenya. The concrete at the top made of clay from Kenya also. We have a fish mask and a bird mask from Bobo, Burkina Faso. Then a bookcase containing the books that were collected by Murumbi from different countries. Then here, this was Murumbi's favorite goat, and that was her wife's. This was her mother, and this was his father. And this was the young Murumbi. So Joseph Murumbi, he was born here in Kenya in 1911. His father was an Indian trader. His mother was a Maasai. He studied in India, and 2 years before he completed his studies, his father's shop burnt down. Therefore, a certain father by the name Father Murumbi took over and paid his school fees. After completing his studies, he worked at an ice company and at a garage and in South India as a clerk. Therefore, in 1931, he came back to Kenya, bought a land in Maasai land, and practiced farming with his father. Later in 1935, his father died. He sold everything that belonged to his father and traveled back to Nairobi, where he worked at KR Hospital as a clerk. Later in 1941, he traveled to Somalia and worked at British Administrative Army as a clerk. He came back in 1952 when he heard about the call of emergency. That is when now the Mau Mau rebellion began. That is after the capture of the Kapengria 6 and Mzee Jomo Kenyatta. So after coming back in 1952, he met Pio Gama Pinto, who acted as his political mentor and introduced him to politics. Therefore, he joined Kenya African Union, which sent him to Cairo, Egypt, to British, to USA, Canada, but he was denied access to USA and Canada. Therefore, he decided to settle in Britain. At Britain, he lived for 9 years, working at Moroccan embassy, and he met his wife Sheila Kane, who was a librarian and also a stamp collector. So together they merged their powers in collection of stamps and artifacts. He came back in Kenya in 1962 and helped Mzee Jomo Kenyatta to push the call for independence. They managed in 1963 when Mzee Jomo Kenyatta became the first president of Kenya, and Murumbi was elected the first member of parliament for Lang'ata constituency, where the current MP is Jaramogi. Then later he was appointed the Minister of Foreign Affairs. He worked together with Ngui Koinange, who is the father of the current journalist Jeff Koinange. They worked together as Minister of Foreign Affairs. Later in 1966, he was appointed the second Vice President of Kenya. After now, there was a disagreement between Mzee Jomo Kenyatta and Jaramogi Oginga Odinga. So he served as Kenya's second vice president for only 6 months and resigned for his personal reasons. Some of the reasons why he resigned from the government: one, he was not pleased with the assassination of his political mentor, Pinto. He also saw other people being assassinated later. Therefore, he knew that how to complete a political journey is through assassination. He never wanted to be assassinated. Therefore, he resigned. Another reason why he resigned: he was not much convinced in politics than collection of artifacts. He wanted to proceed with collection of artifacts. Therefore, he resigned from the government. So after resigning from the government, he became the first chairman of the National Archives of Kenya. Then, in 1970, when he went to Turkana at an opening of an exhibition, he met Alan Donovan, an American designer who became his friend. Together in 1972, they opened the first African Heritage, and in 1976, the African Heritage burnt down. So in 1977, Murumbi sold his collection to the government of Kenya and retired completely and went to live at his Narok home with his wife. He fell in the bathroom, broke his back and got a stroke. He later came back to Nairobi for treatment. Then he died of a stroke, of a heart attack. So when he visited his Muthaiga home, where he sold to the government, he found out that the government sold the property to the private sector, and the private sector now started cutting down his indigenous tree. Therefore, he got an heart attack and died. His wife later died in 2000, and Alan Donovan was left in charge of Murumbi's collection. Then in 2003, Alan Donovan set up Murumbi Trust Fund, whereby now Murumbi's collection are found in 3 different locations. That is National Archives of Kenya, Nairobi Gallery, and at African Heritage House. So if you visit any of the destinations, you will find Murumbi's collection. A large amount of it are displayed at the archives. Textile room. The textiles displayed here, most of them were collected from West Africa. So here, this is a wooden carved door from Yoruba, Nigeria. It is a granary door. As you can see, it is brightly colored, just to reflect light that will scare away rodents. So this here, the textile, the black one, it is called kente. So the kente, it was weaved by men, and it was used for ceremonies or occasions whereby people will have maybe weddings, stooling of a king. Then the adinkira, this one here, it was used for sad occasions, maybe for burial. So in Western Africa, most bright clothes were used for sad occasions, while the dull ones were used for ceremonies. These are the Dahomey lions. They were found at the entrance of palaces and in rooms where king will sit with elders to make certain decisions. Here we have a bearded lizard. It was worshipped in Yoruba, Nigeria as a god of protection. Then here we have the Bukulofini cloth. This one made of mud from the lake. We have this one made of pineapple fiber. Then we have men's weave here and women's weave. So men's weave, these are clothes that were weaved by men, and most of the time men used to weave small pieces, later combine them together to form one complete cloth, simply because they never had that much time to spend at one place compared to women. So men, they could use this portable handloom and weave at any place they were, maybe in the fields while looking after their livestock, or even at home when relaxing. While women, they had a stationed loom, as you can see, simply because they had more time to spend at home while doing their home chores and looking after the children. That's why they weaved a complete clothes. This is a wedding, Fulani wedding cloth. It was the hardest cloth to weave, simply because in case you interfere with one of the pattern, the entire cloth will lose its meaning. This is a nobleman chair from Lamu. So here, the women's weave, we have the shema, the white one. It's called shema from Ethiopia. At the middle, we have the okene from Nigeria. We have the lambamene from Madagascar. So lambamene, it was used to celebrate the anniversary of the dead. Like in Madagascar, in every 7 years, they were to go inside the tomb, take out the dead body, wrapped it using the lambamene cloth, then take it back to the tomb and wait again for another 7 years and do the same. This one, it is called an akwete from Nigeria also. We have this one, the Fuba design from DRC Congo. These are some of the oldest clothes that were used. It has been plaited using the palm fiber. Yeah. This is a safe which has never been opened since independence. So we have 2 of them in this room. After the British left the building, the government of Kenya has never bothered to open the safes, simply because we don't have the keys that are responsible for opening it. This was just a sign of welcoming guests. They were found at Murumbi's veranda, and this is just a coffee table and it sits. Here we have the gold okene from Nigeria. It was worn by women to showcase the wealth of their fathers and that of their husbands. So it was worn by those people from royal families or from rich background. Then here we have an elephant mask from Cameroon. It was worn during certain celebrations. Even that one, the Bambulite mask, also from Cameroon. Then this is called an egungun. Egungun, it was worn in Yoruba, Nigeria by diviners to connect the spirit of the dead and spirit of the living. So, after wearing it, a person will start behaving in a weird way and speaking in a language that nobody will understand. Later, after removing the cloth, he will translate the message that he has received from the ancestral land to the living. The message will be maybe a warning or a suggestion or an introduction. Then this is a beaded crocodile. It was worshipped in Yoruba, Nigeria as a god of thunder. So it used to be very powerful during the olden days. So they could command it and do their necessary. Yeah. This is just the lambamene cloth. That one that was used to celebrate the anniversary of the dead. And this one now was made using a modern design to showcase an exhibition at African Heritage House. Then the artwork here, done by Sananga Teja, a pioneer artist from Uganda, on a background. So this man traveled from Uganda and settled in Mombasa, learning about the Giriama tradition. After learning more about it, he decided to elaborate their traditional way on a piece of cloth. So these ones are called the grave post, and we have one here. This is it, a grave post. So a grave post, it was planted on a grave of departed males and medicine women and women, witch doctors. So the one tied there, so that depicts the departed spirit which has refused to rest. Maybe your fellow died, you buried him or her, but the spirit is still disturbing the living community. So the elders were to conduct certain sacrifices to the grave post and tie it so as to tie the spirit. These are door frames and bedposts from Lamu, Kenya. Then this is also a chair from Lamu. Here we have a spaghetti press. A spaghetti press, this is what the Africans used to make spaghetti. So they were maybe to use wheat flour, then to make a dough. After making a dough, we will put a dough inside here. Then it has tiny holes whereby when you press, the spaghetti pastures will come through the tiny holes. Then here we have the art books. So everything begins with art. When we speak about leadership, leadership is art. Everything is art. So Murumbi was much concerned with arts. That's why he collected some of the books that communicated about the arts. The mask here, it is known as the icon of African arts. It was from Benin Kingdom. So the king of Benin ordered every member of his kingdom to own the mask that symbolizes the head of his mother, the former queen of Benin. So the mask is believed to have existed before the 14th century. Then the Portuguese sailors around the mask also is an evidence that the mask was made in the early 14th centuries, simply because the Portuguese invaded Africa in the early 14th century. So this is a story of Benin Kingdom. This was among the strongest kingdoms that ever existed in Africa. The kingdom was later invaded by the British, killed everyone, almost everyone, and the few survivors, including the king himself, were taken to exile in UK and worked there as slaves. The mask was looted, including other ivories and other minerals were looted from Benin Kingdom and taken to Europe. The mask is currently found at the Metropolitan Museum of Arts in New York City. Then here we have the books that were written by the early explorers and missionaries. So the first people to come to Africa before the colonizers were the missionaries and the explorers, and it is believed that these were the people who led now to the invasion of Africa by the colonizers. Simply because the explorers, they came with an aim of exploring and learning more concerning new places. So everything they came across, they were noting them in books. And after going back to their homes, when people read about the books they wrote, they realized that Africa was very rich in resources, and that's why they came in order to look the resources and minerals to take them to their countries. This one is a story of our first president. This is the book he wrote himself, and the others were written by other people trying to explain more concerning Kenyatta's life. This is where he began his political career as a water meter reader. Before he became president, he was a water meter reader, and he was using a bicycle, walking to every home to read meters in order to award people their bills. Then later he went to London to study economics. This is the Lancaster House Conference, which took place in Manchester, London. So this is where the Africans went to present their grievances. They went to demand that they want to be given that access to land also, and to be allowed to choose their leaders. This is now after Mzee Jomo Kenyatta was released from exile, and he was there addressing the press together with his daughter Margaret Kenyatta, who became the first mayor of Nairobi after Mzee Jomo Kenyatta became the first president. This is 1963, after we have attained our independence. That is Mzee Jomo Kenyatta with Musa Mwairima Amomori. This is a Mauritanian sword. It was carried by royal guards, and the capes were worn by the guards. The sword is made of silver, and the case is made of leather with a silver decoration. This is a nobleman chair, also from Lamu. The box was used by women for holding their jewelries, and it is believed to have came through by the door traders. This is an art from Ethiopia depicting St. George slaying a dragon in order to rescue the girl. Then this one, it is an art made by Salim Ashamun, a very well-known artist. From his unique artwork, he normally uses a goat skin to conduct his artwork. So even this is a goat skin. That's why it has been framed and shielded in order to avoid the leather from being destroyed by insects. So here, the book speaks about Mau Mau. Mau Mau was a rebellion that was pushing for the call of independence. It began in 1952 when Mzee Jomo Kenyatta and the Kapenguria Sikhs were captured. It was shattered in 1956 when the Kimathi was captured and taken to Kamiti Maximum Prison by the British. So after the Kimathi was killed, Queen of England believed that the rebellion was shattered completely. So she decided to withdraw the British soldiers from Kenya, not knowing that the group had 3,000 soldiers. So the group continued fighting, being led by Musa Mwarima, and they hid at Aberdare Forest in Mount Kenya Forest. They fought until 1961 when there was an agreement through the Lancaster Conference and Africans were allowed independence. That's when Mau Mau ended completely. So the books, the two, you can find them in library simply because they are in reprint, but the three, you can't find them anywhere apart from this place, simply because this was a person's personal journal, and the others and the information in them are incomplete. Maybe the authors were killed in the process of writing the books, so they never completed whatever they wanted to portray. So here, this tries to elaborate more how the Kenya's national anthem rhythm was obtained. So it happened when the cabinet secretaries and ministers went to visit Mzee Jomo Kenyatta at his Gatundu home in 1963. So there was a police band which sang 3 different rhythms. None of them pleased Mzee Jomo Kenyatta. Therefore, he called children who sang a song from Pokomo tradition, a song which was majorly sung by women to their children. So the children sang the song to Mzee Jomo Kenyatta, and the song pleased him. And that is the rhythm that was used, and it is currently used as a rhythm of the national anthem of Kenya. So that rhythm, when you follow the rhythm, it is from a Pokomo song, traditional song that was sung to women, was sung by women to their children. Then these are some of the books that were written by ex-slaves who learned on how to read and write, and they tried to elaborate more concerning their experience on slavery life. So here, this is called a stamp book. A stamp is just an evidence that was used to show that you have paid for an apostolic service. So this was the long-serving stamp, and it served from 1897 to 1948 from Sudan. This was the most beautiful stamp, simply because it is the one that Sheila used the most from Ethiopia. This was the first stamp to be used in UK and its subject, including Somalia and Kenya. Every country that was colonized by the British was using this stamp. Then this emerged as the most expensive stamp, simply because it was made of pure gold, and one was sold at $4 million. Then this room, we also promote our local artists, whereby you can bring your arts here. We market it for you, sell it for you. Then later we will call you to come and pick your money whenever your art is bought. And we normally sell it at a good price, simply because here we host people from every country. So this is the second safe also. which has never been opened since independence. So up to there, I think I'm done. With your experience and exploration, I think you have enjoyed and you have learned.